Good day everyone and welcome to another video where I give my unwanted opinions on all matter of Dragon Ball related topics. Today's topic is one that is probably on the more popular side of things and has been covered by many other Dragon Ball and anime YouTubers before. But I still felt that I should give my own take on this topic as well. Why was Future Gohan so weak in Trunks' timeline? The future timeline we see in Dragon Ball Z is probably one of the most liked pieces of that era of Dragon Ball, as it does show us the grim reality that was supposed to be the original timeline and fate of our cast. The timeline we see in the show from the moment Trunks arrives to take out Frieza and King Cold was never even meant to happen. In the original timeline, Goku made it to Earth and defeated Frieza and King Cold by himself. But Goku soon after contracted the viral heart virus and passed away, leaving the Earth without its primary protector. And when the androids arrived completely out of nowhere, the Z fighters proved to be no match for them in the slightest. Vegeta, Tien, Yamcha, Piccolo, Krillin and Chaozu all fell to the horrible androids, leaving only Gohan and Yajirobe to survive the initial onslaught of the androids. Yajirobe hid himself away and managed to survive all the way into the events of Dragon Ball Super and the Goku Black arc, but Gohan's story is a much sadder one. We all remember that final clash between Gohan and the androids in the rainy remains of what was once a flourishing city. Gohan went all out but proved to be no match for the duo, and to add insult to injury, they revealed they weren't even using their full power from the start. Gohan dies here alone and leaves his pupil Trunks as the only remaining Z fighter. There are a couple of interesting facts about these events that do factor into the topic of today's video. The most interesting one is that these events take place in age 780, which is the same age where the Tournament of Power takes place in the new main timeline. Future Gohan fights against the androids and loses at the same time when Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku fights against full power Jiren. Like, just let that sink in for a second right now. But there are also 3 different iterations, 4 if you count the flashbacks in Super, of the fight between Gohan and the androids. You have the manga obviously, then you have the History of Trunks special, you also have the Ghost from Tomorrow OVA, and you have the aforementioned flashbacks in Dragon Ball Super. The interesting thing about this is that the results differ among these iterations of the fights. Sure, he loses in all of them, but the way he loses is quite different. The Gohan from the History of Trunks special did far better in the fight than all of the other iterations, for example. He got destroyed far easier in the manga, and there is also the fact that Gohan still had both of his arms in the Ghost from Tomorrow OVA. But why was Gohan so weak compared to the other timeline where we saw our fighters at the level of the Tournament of Power? There are multiple explanations for this that have been thoroughly covered in detail by many people, but I personally feel that they tend to overcomplicate things a little bit. There is the whole thing with S-cells where Super Saiyans get stronger during peaceful times, but I'ma be honest, I never like this explanation at all. It's not often that I hard dislike some of Toriyama's ideas, but this was definitely one of them. I personally believe that Future Gohan was not even that weak if you take his circumstances into consideration. In the manga iteration, Gohan is estimated to be around the level of Namek Goku, and this makes perfect sense because this is the pinnacle of strength that Gohan remembers. The future androids may have been weaker than the present day ones, but they were clearly stronger than Namek Saga Super Saiyan Goku, so why do I think it's perfectly natural for Gohan to have peaked at around this level? Here are a few points to consider. This version of Gohan was all alone. He had nobody to train with, no people like Piccolo, Goku or Vegeta to set an example of the limit of strength. He had nobody to train with. Even if you include Trunks, it does not change the statement. Trunks was his student, not a serious sparring partner on his own level of strength. This also results in Gohan never learning about the Room of Spirit and Time and training there with his dad and Piccolo for 3 years. Since nobody knew the androids were coming, we can safely deduce that the gang did not train nearly as hard for their arrival as they did in the new timeline. This also means that Gohan had no idea that there was a potential level above Super Saiyan. In his mind, Super Saiyan was the absolute limit of power, and seeing himself struggle against the androids whilst having achieved this so-called ultimate level was sure to have dampened his spirits quite a bit. And you also need to consider that even though he obtained Super Saiyan at some point in time through his own efforts, he had no mentor to teach him how to handle this power in the slightest. He just kind of had to wing it and see what works. If you combine all of these factors, it's no big mystery why he was never strong enough. he just went with what he knew, and that was simply not enough. That's my take on things at least. But there are obviously a couple of plot holes here that make pretty much any theory on this very inconsistent. The first major plot hole is that Goku could have just contacted Gohan and tell him about the Room of Spirit and Time and that there is a level beyond Super Saiyan. Goku at this point has surely at the very least discovered Super Saiyan 2 in the afterlife. I have no doubts about that one. And he has shown multiple times that he can in fact talk to the living through the help of King Kai, even back in the Frieza saga. I cannot think of a single reason why he could not have informed Gohan about ways to get stronger. Like, it is pretty much outside of both Goku's and Piccolo's character for that matter to just leave Gohan to struggle like that for years. The only explanation is that the telephone line to Earth somehow got broken or was banned from being used, but that's just a bit of headcanon